Hello, my name is Mitchell, and thank you all for being here today. We are the PERTFect team. Project management plays a critical role for businesses, their products, and in developing new technologies. When project management is combined with engineering, though, the stakes become even more critical and crucial. Some of the most relevant examples of this in the near history have included the failures with the Challenger space shuttle, as well as the engine enlargement with the Boeing 737s. This has reinforced the idea that project management and engineering need to work together. So as mentioned before, we are the PERTFect team. My name is Mitchell DeLong, and I'm a project researcher and lead of charts and tables.
Hi, my name is Victoria Hoffman, and I was the project manager and the file formatter for our team.
Hello, I'm Corinne Giersch, and I was the project researcher and resource contact for the team.
And I'm John Hamill, and I was the project researcher and lead writer. So the agenda for today, we're going to start off with the project charter and discuss background and justification, why Michigan Tech, project description, key stakeholders, and success criteria. We're then going to move into the project scope. We'll talk about high-level requirements, high-level timeline, and the exclusions, assumptions, and constraints. And finally, we'll discuss the project management sector, including the work breakdown structure, project timeline, project budget, the disbursement plan, and the operational budget. So a little background, Michigan Tech, as many of you know, is a predominantly engineering school in Houghton in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. About 63% of the student body is majoring in some form of engineering, which is why we feel that project management could complement this so well. By 2027, employers will need about 87.7 million individuals working in project management related roles. 6 industries will have job openings in project-oriented sectors. So especially the engineering sectors, the construction management sectors, all of which we also offer at Tech. So we're looking to integrate our highly technological school with the best project management techniques that'll give students from the business school and other disciplines alike an edge. So the purpose overall was to create a useful and applicable project management degree program that could be applicable in a variety of industries, as well as hiring the best talent available to convey these learning goals. So why Michigan Tech? We thought of many different ways that we could set ourselves apart from other schools and that would help gain publicity for this new degree program. And the two that stood out to us the most were our degree program structures and being technology focused.
Here you can see the sample degree audits that the team has made, one for the major as well as one for the minor. One thing that the team thought was really key here was that we would only be adding in 16 new courses. Of those 16 courses, 12 would make up the concentration requirements, 4 for each of the 3 concentrations we would be offering, which are construction project management, IT project management, and general project management. The other 4 courses that we would be adding would be core courses, and we felt that they best represented what PMI looks for in their programs. And of those 4 courses, 2 of them would also be included in the minor program. And one of the reasons we thought that these classes in this program really suited Michigan Tech is that the structure of the program is based on other successful programs here at Tech.
So another key thing that Tech has is it's a very technology-focused school. As John already mentioned earlier, we have 63% of our students as engineers, so they are very strongly rooted in STEM. However, every major, regardless of whether or not they're a STEM major here at Tech, is touched by technology, and specifically with project management and general business. We like to say we create technology-savvy business students and business-savvy technology students. We also provide a lot of opportunities. These include things like research, and we also have opportunities to participate in things like enterprise, which usually has positions for project managers within the teams. And lastly, we have career fair, where a lot of technology-focused companies come in and they're looking for project managers who are very technology-oriented, and Michigan Tech is the right place to set them up for that.
So our project consists of selecting the program's curriculum as well as recruiting and hiring both academic faculty and administrative staff, as well as creating the following degrees: IT project management, construction project management, and general project management. Our team also decided to add in a minor in general project management because, as both Corinne and John mentioned, this could really benefit everyone on campus. Our first year, the team is expecting that there will be 40 students majoring in project management, with an additional 40 students also pursuing a minor in project management. As for future growth, our team is expecting that the number of students majoring in project management will increase by 10% year over year. However, we do not expect to see any growth in the number of students pursuing a minor. Our plan is to have the school open on August 28th of 2023, which would be the first day of fall semester. And this would have our project concluding on September 1st, which would give the team about a week to tie up all the loose ends of the project and to troubleshoot any last things before completely closing out the project. Hey, Mitch, there you go.
Sorry about that. So at this time, it's important to highlight some of the key stakeholders for the School of Project Management at Michigan Tech. On the left-hand side, you'll notice internal stakeholders, and on the right-hand side, you'll notice external stakeholders. The size of bubbles corresponds with their relative importance to the project. For example, you'll see that project managers, the team, mentors, and champion will all be very important, as they'll be ensuring that all of the resources are in place to successfully deploy a new School of Project Management. On the upper right-hand side, you'll notice that students and the community will be important as external stakeholders. The community will need to adapt to allow the School of Project Management to exist, as housing will be needed for students, as well as opportunities for students. Students will also be important, as they will ultimately either accept the program and decide to attend the School of Project Management or reject it. Without students, the School of Project Management cannot exist or be successful.
So we identified a number of criteria that we will use to evaluate the successfulness of our project. The first one we looked at was scope. And the success criteria were to establish a curriculum and operating standards for the School of Project Management, to hire faculty and administrative staff, establish degree requirements, and create a course catalog and schedule. The next criteria was time. So we'd like to complete the project, like Tori said, by August 28th of 2023, in time for that fall semester. In terms of cost, we'd like to complete the project according to the budget. For quality, we'd like to establish a learning-oriented culture within the School of Project Management to meet all the stakeholder requirements, to provide the latest project management techniques according to the PMI, and hire highly experienced faculty in the field. For risk, we'd like to minimize the probability of the negative effects of any of the risks, enhance the probability of some of the positive effects that may occur, and successfully respond to any risks without furthering the issue. And finally, for resources, we're looking at utilizing professors from other disciplines on campus, hiring new faculty and staff, and utilizing the new LEED certified building on campus to house the School of Project Management.
We have multiple high-level requirements. Some of the key ones are understanding, obviously, the curriculum creation, curriculum approval, and hiring processes, as these are very important and must be adhered to. We also just need to know what does PMI look for in a solid project management curriculum, and what are the costs associated with these. This is more of a graphical representation of our high-level requirements. As you can see, we start with the project planning phase completion, which is where a lot of our research into what these processes entail occurs. The program approval process is the longest of all the processes, and this is because we have to wait for approval through various different bodies, and they meet at different times. There's also a few spots for lag, and this is because a lot of the people who will be working on the project are faculty, and they're still required to do research and teach classes. So it's important to give them time to set those up and do those, especially before a new school year. Next, we do classification approval, hiring of faculty and hiring of staff. All of these can be done after we've been approved. And we do have 2 rounds of hiring that will occur afterwards. And this is because we don't intend to hire all faculty right away. We instead will hire as we go, and this is as the people within the majors move up, we will hire based on those needs. Here's kind of a graphical representation of exclusions, assumptions, and constraints. Constraints and exclusions are 2 of many factors that prevent project scope creep, such as making sure that we complete the project by September 1st. We fit within both the university and PMI's learning goals. We also assume that there's going to be a building on campus for the school, and that no adjustments to university policies will be made, because if so, we would have to adjust our plan, and that City of Houghton can accommodate new students, such as with housing or childcare. Things that we're excluding is we're only working on the School of Project Management. At this time, there will be no accreditation, although maybe in the future that'd be something we would pursue. And no funding will be done for non-personnel, since we assume that those who are non-project personnel are just doing their jobs, even if they do something that might be within the project.
So here I'd like to highlight our work breakdown structure. As you'll notice, each nodule starts with a P and then a number, and P stands for plan, and the number stands for the plan number. The D stands for deliverable. So you'll notice at the top of our pyramid, we have Plan 5, which reaches Deliverable 1. This plan is used to manage the previous 4 plans and ensure that the School of Project Management is delivered on time. Plan 1 focuses on developing the curriculum for our undergraduate, master's, and minor courses. Plan 2 focuses on getting that curriculum approved by the appropriate regulatory bodies. Plan 3 helps to hire faculty and staff, as well as orient them. And finally, Plan 4 accounts for the development of budgets and operations.
The total budget for our project is $465,233 and is based on the timeframe of January 13th of 2020 through September 1st of 2023. As you can see, the chart is broken down by the cost per plan, with Plan 1 taking up the majority of our budget. And this is due to the fact that we are not only paying the team, but we also are paying for branding and marketing, as well as a curriculum creation committee. Plan 3 is the second largest, and this is so large because, again, we accounted for the cost of the team, but also for the faculty and staff that we will be hiring during this time frame. So that is 6 weeks for each of the 3 staff members we will be hiring, 6 weeks for our 1 advisor, as well as 2 weeks for each of the 2 faculty that we will be hiring. And just to note again, the only resources included in this budget are the cost of the project team members, branding and marketing, the curriculum committee, and the salaries for those we hired. Any other people that worked on the project, such as any approval boards, their costs are not associated with this budget. And we determined that the best way to allocate the team's resources to this project was by allocating 30% of the project manager's salary and 25% of each of the team members' salaries to the project.
So here we'll display our budget disbursement. You may notice that in the first several months of the project, most of the costs are incurred. This is associated with having to compensate instructors and faculties to produce a large amount of course materials. Our spending decreases significantly from 2021 into early 2023 as the project moves into needing approval from regulatory bodies rather than producing materials. So that's why there's a large period of time with little spend. And finally, the remaining funds are spent at the end to hire staff and faculty and get them oriented.
Here we created an operational budget for the first year that the School of Project Management is up and running, so September 4th of 2023 to September 2nd of 2024. You can see that there are costs associated with hiring the year 2 faculty, and that is because, as our plan showed earlier, we have 3 phases of hiring. Our operational costs are calculated at 65% of the total cost allocated to the project within year 1, and this is the percentage that the university uses on all of its projects. So for this project, our operational costs were based on the sum of the salaries for the staff, advisor, year 1 and year 2 faculty, as well as the search costs and relocation stipends. Our contingency is based on 10% of our operational costs, plus all the costs used to determine the operational costs.
So with that, we'd like to thank you all for listening to our presentation and invite you to provide us any feedback or ask any questions you may have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mitch. Now I'll open it up to the participants. Please make sure that you unmute your microphone before you ask the question, otherwise you will not get an answer.
Hey, great presentation, guys. This is Patrick Goro. I was on this project for 2017, so I know exactly the work you guys put into it, and probably the many long and late nights. I do have one question, I guess, that's come to mind real quick here. What was the decision with not pursuing accreditation, at least as part of your plan?
Gotta unmute myself. There we go. So we did toss around the idea of accreditation at first when we were deciding like what we wanted to get done with this plan. We eventually decided that it would probably be better at this time not to pursue accreditation, since at least a lot of accreditations require you to already have an established school. So we kind of wanted to work on establishing the school first, being able to meet PMI guidelines, and then once we have it up and running, then proceed to pursuing an accreditation.
Thanks, Patrick.
Yep, no problem.
Roger Bruce Seeley. Not so much a question, but a comment. I'm impressed at the way you managed to come to grips and get a hold of some of the intricacies of institutional approval processes. I don't think there's anything that I saw in here that looks outside the boundaries that you would normally encounter here at Michigan Tech. So congratulations. I wish some faculty that I oversaw as dean had come to understand some of this as well as you seem to have.
Thank you, Bruce. The team did a lot of work, and you were certainly one of the resources, along with a variety of other people and internet and just generally asking question resources to really outline. And I think in particular, maybe Tori, you can even talk directly to some of the discussion that you had around how you developed, say, the actual audit sheets and some of the work that was done there. I think that would be useful for them to understand.
Of course, yes. So one of the struggles that the team had, I don't know how to make myself come on the screen.
You're fine. You're on our screen.
Okay. Oh, okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So a lot of the discussion that the team had was we knew that we wanted to make these programs, and we knew that we wanted to offer multiple options. So we have the 3 concentrations. And one of the struggles we had was, do we make 3 separate degrees, or do we do it similar to how management has it currently, where there are the concentrations? And we found that this was really the best option because we were able to take so many different courses that the College of Business offers now and see how they still apply to what would be in a project management degree, and just change the different things, the concentration requirements, to suit each of those different majors. So one thing that we really had to look at too was what courses would still be applicable. So as you saw on our introduction to the team slide, we are all studying supply chain and operations management. So seeing how all of the courses we have taken so far and what we think would still be useful for project management, and then still trying to fit in those requirements that PMI has for their degrees in project management. So it did take a lot to try and play out and try to get everything to work nicely, but I think as a team we did a really good job on that.
One of the things you'll also note, Bruce, and they've noted it a couple times, is that when talking about sort of the project costs, having to choose to allocate based on time used versus people and sort of all of that aspect, just to make it look more like reality, but then also for, like, as noted, the approval bodies not being charged because that's part of their job, not specific towards this specific project.
I will say, and I think I told the team this, that the reality is if we were developing a program from an institutional point of view, we are almost never able to get funds to cover the costs of faculty or staff engaged in that early preparation. And so it certainly meets a reality, but again, universities often function truly in their own little world. And I know a number of departments that would love to have been able to have a little bit of resource behind the planning effort. To that extent, I think your project management curriculum and ideas might be something that the university and certainly faculty as a whole could learn from, and trying to understand there are costs just because you don't charge people's time. So anyway, good job.
Thank you. I know one thing that the team did debate a lot about, and after speaking with Renee Hiller in the College of Business, was how do we really get that percentage of people's time figured out? And then as well with the curriculum creation committee, that's why we chose to give them an extra amount on top of their regular salary for doing this as kind of an incentive of giving them a good reason to go forward with this and put a good amount of time into it.
Any other questions? Well, I do want.
So
Go ahead.
So this is something I actually just want to propose out to the every member of the team. Is I don't know where the line of okay, everybody's working from home now came in your process of setting up this presentation and doing the research, but I hope you all have at least learned something from it, because corporate America is struggling with it, and you guys seem to pull this all together real nicely. So what is something that you guys each individually learned from having to work remotely on this project and cohesively come together to make a final product here to present?
Great question. Why don't you go ahead first, Mitch?
Sure thing. So one thing I've really learned from this project is how valuable face-to-face communication is when you're able to read one another's body language. And so the biggest takeaway I've been able to gather from that is to more carefully articulate what you say and more clearly communicate. So when you're trying to point out maybe a very specific problem with a certain image and a work breakdown structure or whatnot, you need to be more careful with exactly how you ask questions, so that way everyone can remain on the same page.
Great. Corinne?
Let's see, probably the thing I've learned, I think it's along the lines of like what Mitch said, which is the whole communication thing. I'm not always the greatest at communicating, as team has found out. So this has really helped me like more center my thoughts and not and try to come up with better ways to tell my team what I'm thinking and how I want to convey my message, which has been a really good experience, especially for someone like me who hopes to someday be on projects like big company projects.
Tori?
I would say for me, the biggest thing I've learned from this is that even if a meeting is only 15 or 20 minutes long, it's so much better sometimes than a 4 or 5 hour long meeting that you have in person. So for the duration of the project, when we were still on campus, we would have meetings every Sunday. And it was nice because we could just sit there and all work individually. And then when we had questions, we could talk to each other about it. But with all of this, we've had to just kind of do all the work on our own and then have these small little quick touch bases. And I really think that that helped us a lot, because you could get your work done, but you could just have this really short meeting that you didn't need to block out a huge portion of your day, but you could all still get all of your questions answered without a problem.
John?
Yeah, kind of going off what Tori said, it made the whole like managing your time and focusing on what you're doing aspect a lot different, because we weren't all sitting in a room staring at each other. So we kind of were able to just kind of work, you know, focus on what we were doing and kind of manage our own individual time better, and then have those quick touch bases where it was more productive in a shorter amount of time because everyone was kind of moving at their own pace. So.
Great question, Patrick. I think too, with the interconnectedness of Google, that makes a lot of this much easier in terms of managing. And I know that Gabrielle, as the mentor, and myself as the champions, we're able to very easily go in and make comments and suggestions, and not necessarily have to do that all in a specific meeting. It has been quite a bit different, at least from my end too. I feel a little bit more disconnected than having the opportunity to physically meet with them and kind of have some of those chats at the beginning of our weekly meetings, either as an entire group or each individual team. So I do have to say, though, I didn't miss driving all the way down to Grand Rapids on Sunday, and then today we would have been driving all the way back. I do find this a little bit easier, but I do miss the competition and the opportunity to spend one last couple meals with the corresponding teams.
Yeah, and Roger, I think I don't have a question, but I have a comment. It's been my 5th year working as a mentor, and I think, as usual, your effort and the teams have been absolutely amazing. I mean, in this very difficult time, people stayed focused. Everybody kept doing their job, meeting the deadline. I mean, you guys did an amazing job. And yeah, and I guess for me, I miss kind of not seeing the team, because I'm the only mentor actually who does this virtual with your team. So I get to guess once a year, I get to see all of you, but you know, maybe we'll have some other time. Maybe one of these days I'll have to drive all the way to your place.
There you go.
With the students, you know, it's a little bit easier. But yeah, but I think I want to congratulate you on your dedication. You did an amazing work, and like I said, I do this day in and day out, and every year I'm so proud of seeing how you guys are understanding, learning, and applying project management. It's great. Keep doing it. It's going to be useful for the rest of your career, and in your introduction, you're absolutely right. It's something that you guys are showing extremely well. Very proud of you guys.
Thanks, Gabrielle.
Well,
in the interest of time, since we were going to go to 1 o'clock, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting here momentarily. But for Kelby and Patrick in particular, I will resend out the grading rubric. I will also make a recording of this available if you want to go back, and if you could share your thoughts using that grading rubric for the team, that would be wonderful, since we didn't get that opportunity to see the judges in person. I would appreciate that. Thank you, Bruce, for your time. And thank you, of course, Gabrielle, for everything that you've done for our teams. And congratulations. I think the team did an excellent job. And for those of you who didn't know, they actually did get a perfect score from one of the judges on gate 3 that just came out yesterday. So, and in fact, they got what, a 90 and an 87, a 90 being perfect. So they certainly had very little.
It was out of 85.
85, yeah, it was out of 85 because they give us 5 extra for being on time. So